Hey everybody, so we've been asked by the bosses to put together a presentation of the state of Silt for the Chamber Luncheon. What do you think we should point out?
First of all, we should talk about how fun it is to live in Silt. We've got 14 parks, and we've been busy implementing our Parks, Recreation, and Culture Master Plan. With general and beautification fund dollars and the generous support of Garfield County, we're engaged in a program to replace playground equipment and fall protection in many of our parks.
Right, and we created a cool paved path around the soccer fields at Flying Eagle Park so parents could get a little exercise while watching the kiddos play. We're also able to overlay most of the rec paths in town.
That's great. And don't forget about the new horseshoe pits that we'll be building at the side of the old Roy Moore Elementary School. With the school district's permission, of course. We'll have enough pits to run local horseshoe leagues and possibly even some major tournaments. Not to mention improvement in our Silt Heyday events in August.
Pretty neat stuff, and I'd like to plan to improve, replace and install picnic shelters in the parks. It's always great to get out for that summer sun, not to mention standardizing all of our park signage and trash receptacles.
Don't forget to tell them about the pedestrian bridge that we're working on. Started with the grant a couple years ago. We're now about 30% complete on the design work, and it should make CDOT funding more likely. They'll get pedestrians off the dangerous highway overpass, encourage our visitors staying at the Holiday Inn and KOA to come downtown and shop and use all these parks you guys are talking about.
I really like the improvements at the Silt Island Park. Some people call it the dog park. That making parking for all those boaters so much more safe, convenient, and orderly. That and all of the restoration work being done on the paths and ponds and stuff at the Silt River Preserve. With partners like the Aspen Valley Land Trust, the Middle Colorado Watershed Council, and the Jerry Pace Annual Grant, we can't lose. Those parks will be jewels for folks of this region for years to come.
You know what, guys? I'm really looking forward to the new batting cages.
What?
What?
On another note, though, I like the progress we're making on the I-70 interchange. Hey Trey, what's important about that project?
You'll remember that we're trying to get the whole thing done at once, working through CDOT's process. We're still working with them. We're going for some incremental improvements, and maybe we'll get the top deck replaced and the eastbound on-ramp extension done this year. That would be some real improvements.
That'll make commuting for those of us who head east for work a lot easier and safer, that's for sure.
Speaking of commuting, we have also done some road improvements around town, like paving Home Avenue, 9th Street, and chip and sealing all of Flying Eagle subdivision. And we are starting to work on the engineering for Grand Avenue. Grand is a bit trickier though because of the utilities buried below the street. It'll be a multi-year project. We are also planning to repave many of the streets in the Terra subdivision.
Now there's some streets that need attention.
Right. Two other neighborhoods on the list are Eagles View and Main Street. In Eagles View, we just did some traffic calming, trying to slow cars down, and this year we're doing a complete street demo and reconstruction of Eagles Nest Circle. We are also finishing the curb, gutter, and sidewalk in the 500 block of Main Street, where two of the more well-established businesses are located, A&G Flooring and Whimsical Wagging.
That's all great and all, but let's get back to the fun. We've got some great events.
I'm with you, Chris. The 3 big concerts we do each year at the Stony Ridge Pavilion are a real hit. Just a relaxing evening in the park, listening to good music.
That's right up my alley. That and the downtown events in the fall.
Oh yeah, the Main Street trick-or-treat and the tree lighting and the fireworks right before Thanksgiving. That sure was fun.
For sure. Right out of a Hallmark Christmas movie. What other events do we have going on next year, Nicole?
We start the year with a bang on April 8th with the Easter egg hunt at Stony Ridge, which is a fan favorite. We'll have 400 to 500 folks that show up in the morning to watch their littles scramble around for eggs with all kinds of prizes on the soccer field. Then we'll roll right into Silt Cleanup, Silt on Sale, Bike Rodeo, Movie in the Park series. And interspersed through it all will be the 3 concerts that Jerry mentioned and the farmers market, of course.
I really like that we moved the farmers market to the shade and cool breezes of Veterans Park. That was a great idea.
And don't forget that we have music and sell beer and wine at all of them for 8 weeks straight.
I'm good with that. We also have vendors who are selling some pretty cool stuff, including fresh produce from the Grand Valley and our own high water farm.
And clothing, jewelry, food, and all kinds of fun. A nice leisurely evening in the park.
Hey, what do you guys think about new dugouts at the baseball field?
Kyle, come on.
Well, we do have some pretty cool kids' recreational offerings nowadays. Right, Nicole?
You bet, Kyle. Over the last couple of years, we've started programs involving t-ball, soccer for all different age groups, basketball for the smallest of kids called Little Dribblers. We've had a great turnout for all of these sports.
Little droolers. Well, I guess that's what little kids do.
No, not droolers, dribblers. You know, like dribbling a basketball?
Hey, that reminds me, we really ought to think about building a concession stand complete with peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
No.
Aw, come on, you guys, live a little.
Mayor Pro Tem, with all due respect, we really ought to get back to talking about the state of Silt.
Well, of course you're right. But lest you think baseball is all I think about, I'll remind you that our quality of life is high on my list too. Like the new TRIP program that'll pay an incentive to homeowners who convert their water-guzzling turf grass to something a little less thirsty.
That's right, Kyle. That'll help ensure that we have irrigation water for every yard for a long time to come.
Another quality of life issue that impacts all of us is public safety, like improving our police department and adding a new code enforcement program this year. What's new with that?
Chief Kite just concluded a very professional process to select Silt PD's very first police lieutenant, Matt Grombach. He started his new position last month. He brings a world of police experience to the department to help Chief Kite with all kinds of administrative duties. It'll make the department that much more efficient and effective. We also will be adding another patrol officer position, and Chief Kite and Nicole are preparing to start advertising for the code enforcement position very soon.
That's true, and because we all value our workforce, we've done some work to keep them. Sheila, would you talk about that?
We've got a very capable staff getting roads paved, parks taken care of, protecting us, producing drinking water, plowing snow, and everything else we do. That's why the board has worked so hard to keep our employees and increase pay and improve benefits over the last couple of years. We employees are very grateful to the board for recognizing some of these issues and addressing them. It certainly has positively impacted our quality of life.
And speaking of quality of life issues, don't forget to mention all of our work to do this large-scale renovation at our water plant. Turns out the capacity that we thought we had just isn't quite so.
And even if it had been, we wouldn't be able to keep up with all the people who want to live here. We need to improve it for the growth that we know is just around the corner.
Yes, it's a heavy lift for a town of our size, but with the proper funding from the federal infrastructure spending bills and tightening our water fund belts a bit, we're pretty sure we can do it.
And we're not done working on reducing the cost of the plant remodel and figuring out all the various funding mechanisms that may be available to us.
It's true that the project will increase rates across the board, and there'll be some short-term pain, but in the long run, it'll be worth it with better quality water and an assurance that we'll be taken care of for the foreseeable future.
It's an important issue and one that we can't afford to kick down the road for the next Board of Trustees to deal with. No time like the present. And I'm pleased that we got the grant from the state to conduct an engineering study of our consulting engineering's work. Kind of like a second opinion, as it were.
Me too. And no matter what kind of plant we end up with, we have the personnel to run it properly. With Sarah Flores getting her Class A water certification, and Daryl Beck, who just achieved his Class A certification in both water and wastewater.
We're lucky to have them for sure. Speaking of growth, Nicole, what's going on with development projects in town?
The big ones are the River Trace apartment complex on our eastern roundabout and the Family Dollar Tree store that's being built downtown.
For sure, both serve immediate needs. River Trace will provide 96 units of housing, and Family Dollar Tree will increase our sales tax revenue.
River Trace has slowed down a bit by the proverbial supply chain and the difficulty in finding qualified labor, but they seem to be back on track and making progress now.
Another exciting project is the Rislenda Event Complex. What's that all about?
It's in its early stages. It's a cool concept blending the commercial event venue tucked along the Colorado River with residential and brick and mortar businesses. It's a ways off, but they're planning to start this year by bringing in some attention to the project with rafting trips and barbecues on their site. It should be fun.
I'm all for that. Are there any other projects that are closer to starting their dirt work?
Of course, nearly everyone knows about River Run, the tiny home project next door to the KOA. It's nearing completion and by all accounts is doing very well. Some more other immediate residential projects are Camarillo and the next phase of the Stony Ridge.
Both of those projects will add significant housing inventory to Silt, and both are working through the development process. Camarillo is looking to start building this summer. One fun fact about this project is that it'll add a much-needed full-size youth soccer field to our inventory.
That's awesome. How's that getting paid for?
The town is partnering with the developer to make that happen. As you recall, we purchased and annexed the property more than a year ago, and we are now using part of that land to build a park to include the soccer field, a tot lot, parking, and potentially some natural walking areas.
That's great. What's the source of town's contribution?
Mostly sales tax dollars. The town did very well during the pandemic with sales tax revenue, with so many folks shopping online. We continue to do well. And remember that online merchants are required to pay the town its sales tax rate. We like to say that it's a lot like shopping local.
Like I always say, there's no place more local than your living room. Of course, if we've got a brick and mortar business downtown that's selling something you need, we prefer that you actually shop local. But if we don't have it in Silt, it's best for the town's coffers if we order it online and have it delivered to our homes.
When our revenues are healthy, we can do more to improve our town, and that improves livability and quality of life. Okay, what else should we talk about?
I want people to know that we're really working hard to improve how we communicate with our neighbors. Sheila, would you and Nicole talk about that?
You bet, Sam. Besides our old standbys, the website, and our Vegas sign on 9th Street, our newsletter is now sent to over 1,000 people, a circulation that's up from about 300 2 years ago, and we send it out almost every week.
And we put most important events on the variable message sign on 9th Street every week too.
We also use Text.my.gov, Facebook, news releases, and the public access channel number 10, not to mention daily face-to-face, telephone, and email conversations along the way to communicate with our stakeholders.
We've also just launched discoversilt.com, our new website designed to inform folks both close by and far away about all that Silt lifestyle has to offer. It describes our cost of living, housing options, schools, healthcare, outdoor recreation, and more. We're hoping that it'll communicate that we're a fun, full-service community and that folks will want to come visit.
Speaking of communication, is there anything else that we need to let folks know about?
I really want to go back and talk again about how comfortable Silt is to live in. Sure, we have challenges just like the next town, but overall, we got it really good here.
And getting better all the time. Just keep an eye on our parks and open spaces over the next couple of years. We're going to see some real improvements.
I'm glad we had this talk, I'm really feeling good about the town of Silt's future.
I guess we'd say that the state of the Silt community is
Strong.